things of that nature. And it's crazy that you mentioned meditation because I don't meditate like I should meditate.
And that's okay. Don't,
So
feel no, convictions or anything about that. Don't worry about that. Because that
no, no, it's
catches up to, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 5 seconds, anytime. Anytime you think about it. Don't be hard on yourself. Eventually it'll grow because you'll begin to realize like, oh shit, I need that. Because if not, I might act like this. Or if not, I might think like this. And then you'll
mhm,
do it more. You'll start to appreciate just yourself and going within and being there to see how you feel first before you can actually reflect or even accept the perception of someone else's feelings about the situation. Because I run into a lot of people in this realm who feel angry, mad at them, and it's like, dang, why you feel like that when they ain't did nothing? They're telling you what they believe. And what they believe, it could actually help you. So tell them what
mhm,
you believe about it. And it could actually help them more. Literally more. And you don't have to do anything that really everybody is attempting and trying to do.
right.
Everybody's attempting and trying to do anything but communicate and be by themselves and alone.
And I think that's why I've been so focused on trying to understand the material so I can tell them how I can help them
It's more
instead
so
of,
the thing of how they can help themselves.
mm,
Just like how it's the thing of how you can help yourself. How can they help themselves? Just like she said, I'm gonna go check with the compliance. I'm gonna see what the policy say because it's about how they can help themselves. They hear what you're inquiring about, but how can they help themselves with what you're saying? If they can't, they won't. If they can, then they will. So I
okay.
understand it's hard to step out of being there when you're there. That's why people
I,
feel so entitled to bills and things like that. But imagine how hard that is for people. So imagine what it takes to come out of it.
I don't think it is hard. I don't. I don't think it will be hard. Let me say it like that.
I kind of don't think so either. It just takes time to realize what I'm saying right now for a lot of people because they don't think it's this deep. They just know they got a bill to pay. And that's so not true. It's not true. Saying that to somebody like me is not true. You don't have a bill to pay. Everything we just talked about from the moment we hopped on this call warrants that you can't. You cannot. There's no way. You've been in need. You'll stay in need. And for as long as you're in need, they have acts in place where someone who can act as you will also be in need. And they'll get the things that they need because it's their capacity. You got to check and see if they got the tools.
hmm,
Whatever they don't got,
I
they
think
can.
you. I think you just said something really powerful there, and I feel like it kind of went over my head, and I caught a piece of it. So
Like power
I'm a
of
definitely
recordings, right?
right.
Like literally all the way around the board, recordings, records. You can call it records. You can call it recording, but just it being on record. There being some sort of history of it. What we deal with history and transactions. So it's the very first thing that they talk about. The way that we track the transaction history is through agreements and forming contracts for whatever that person need at that time. How you feel?
I'm good. I'm right there with you.
Okay. I hope this don't do this. Please don't do this. Turn this off. You see this popping up? Lord.
Nah, I don't see nothing. Oh, okay, over there off to the
Yeah,
side.
it's like don't restart my computer.
Yeah.
So transactions. This article is important because we transact directly and indirectly. So I asked you, what was your interpretation of transactions? Because there's times where you're transacting and you may not even recognize that you're transacting. And then there's also times where you're transacting and you're communicating with them and they're transacting with you and you cannot realize and see that they're actually transacting with you to give you exactly what you want. This article is important because they're giving you interpretation and rules when it comes to different principles. Everybody got a different principle. I ever heard somebody say it's the principle behind it? Everybody got a certain principle. So there's definitions, which I'm happy to hear that you wanted to focus on those because, just like I tell everybody, that section is very important because they give you key terms, key things that is said, will be said, or reasons for things being done, cause and effect. So if you can get Article 1 down packed to the point where you can see it from different perspectives and interpretations, right here, they didn't give you the interpret. They didn't put an S at the end here to tell you how each and every person will interpret this. They just said interpretation so that you can come here and have your own interpretation. How do you interpret it? Talk to me about it and the principles and the key things to you and how you feel. And then they give you the rules surrounding it for everybody in general. Will people make up their own rules? 1000%. Why? Because it's their business. Nobody can tell me what to do with my business. I got my own business rules. So they're giving you general rules when it comes to what's applicable in territories, jurisdictions, by law, literally. When it comes to a performance of any person and these rules and their interpretation, dealing with the rules and interpretation, and trading different rules for different interpretations because of principle and what could be happening now or how we're transacting at this time reasonably. Is to be presumed in the structure and in the matter, not on an assumption. Although they are going to act on a basic assumption because they don't know and it's undetermined if you know the rules or not. But they are going to give you something to interpret. This is why coming here is so important so that you understand the structures of agreements. And the other person who business that you are a part of in a way, not always. How you feel? What's your thoughts? What are you thinking? Elaborate on it.
Um, I think some aspects of it, um, so back to definitions and terms, just like you said, interpretation. That's my interpretation of this information and not interpretations.
So that
And
means
that's
so that means that your action gonna be different than what another person's action may be.
truly. And it's that type of attention that I'm trying to really refocus on, just like in the school last school video when we was going over the Navy Federal, and I mentioned that it's teaching me to go line by line in hearing what you actually mean and who you they are talking to, and not fall into a general interpretation of you referencing me as a person and not me as an individual or
Never
me
ever.
staying in my position as an individual.
So that's very important to keep in the back of your mind to understand. Flat line, bottom line. There is someone acting as you, and you act as them. You don't be them, and they're not you. But we're acting as, and we're doing things on each other's behalf. So all the hard work you think you got to do is theirs. Your work is light. When I speak about light, and I say things are light, I'm talking about the information. That's light work compared to what they're gonna do. So anytime you feel like it's hard, rough, frustrated, that's their work. That's what they going through. Each and every time you call and you don't have the knowledge to talk to them, that's they stuff. They want less of it. So think about ways and how you can take that away from anybody, but more beneficially, this person you're in business with because it'll help you in return. So that means you got to know rights, certain rights, and when those rights are to be determined, and more importantly, who the party is. You're not a party to that or anything of the like. Someone is acting as you and on your behalf to help you fulfill things, agreements, and contracts, certain parts of it. It helps to provide meaning for what's stated or what's not stated. So you have a lot of things that mean something, but your meaning comes down to, in general, how you interpret each and every definition in here, how you define it for yourself. What do you believe is subject to? Nobody can tell you that. And then you get caught up in the action of it too. So if somebody asks you a question, we transacting immediately. So it's on the spot. So you gotta contain yourself. You gotta understand these key terms and articles that they are able to utilize because of the Uniform Commercial Code. And that it could actually apply to any part that you dealing with, whether you're dealing with a document part, a contract part, agreement part, any part. The Uniform Commercial Code helps to come in and gap fill and add more parts to it, making it whole and complete for whomever. Whoever has the right, it will be determined at that time. What's your thoughts? Do you
I'm
understand?
following you. Understand? Well, so it feels like I heard that, and I don't be trying to. They're trying to help me conduct these transactions,
That's
and instead of me helping them, I'm trying to do it myself.
Yep, that's what it sounds like to me every time I hear someone speaks about this or it or anything. When I hear, and I don't know what people think, but when I hear individuals speak to me about things that either they seen on my page or what they want to do with their document or their bill, I hear them and I feel like they're them. I hear them talking like them. I hear them saying things that's like they will do or they already did. They hear it too. And a lot of them think I already did this. This already happened. This is here. How you feeling?
I'm interested in understanding what's my role. If they're trying to, if they're trying to help me do this, or if they're doing this for me, what am I here for?
To believe in their system, to have good faith, to be genuinely involved with helping create contracts for them. Because each and every definition that you see here is a position that they will step in so that they can move things further and proceed without you. So you're here to express things where they can only imply them. Without your presence to express, stuff just mean things. There's no real person behind it to give meaning, so things are stated. So if that's the case, things won't be stated. It'll just be implied that it could be stated.
And they can move off of some implication, but
Words or phrases. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. It's nothing more. It don't say math. It don't say fees. It don't say interest. It don't say payment networks. It don't say any of that. It say words and phrases. Now, how do you feel?
only an individual can speak.
So if you speak, that means you have to be knowledgeable about what it is that you're speaking about because the words that you use and say and the phrases that you quote because you got it from certain sections, it matters. Certain phrases and words that you say will add additional things and it'll contain other articles, and some stuff you say won't. It'll apply to particular ones. So the meaning will remain in part. Always. Until meaning is given. I see action. What's the meaning behind it? Somebody has to do something. They're either running, walking, talking. What's the action? What's the meaning behind it? Show me it. You understand?
I don't know where you're going, but you're heavy on me right now. I can tell you that.
I'm going with life.
I'm,
It just is what
I'm
it is.
following you though. I'm following you.
They telling you it all. That all you have to do to participate as an individual and be involved is use words and phrases. Talk about the things that you see. Express the things that you see when it comes to particular parts and particular areas. Talk about it so that we can provide meaning to it where it's not stated or additional meaning to it. Here are all the things that mean something to us, and behind each and every last one of these words, it has a different meaning for the person or a person. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your interpretation and what you believe, you having good faith, you acting right, you being nice, you gathering things, you inspecting, you examining. That's what you do. That's not enough for some people. They want to do more. Words or phrases that helps to give meaning to all of the things that you may see could happen, but it's not happening yet. That's the only thing you could do and provide. Everything else was provided by them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that with, all of the different methods and ways and just hearing other people teaching this and all of the things that you had before you met me? How do you feel about hearing how simple that is, period, when it comes to what everybody is attempting to do, no matter how they're trying to attempt it? How do you feel about hearing that?
It really makes me wonder why I just invested all this time and energy and effort into trying to dive into these 39 videos and not just take my time and allow the information to come to me.
Because you want something, you just don't know what it is. So if it's not clear, then you can't get it because nobody can confirm what it is. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So here's where you get a lot of confirmations. Here is where you grow your belief. Your agreements is where you grow your belief. Your billing statement is where you really start to begin to really, really believe in those beliefs enough to where you can communicate what you feel about what's not stated or the meaning of what is stated. How do you feel? It's all about you. How you feel helps create theory. That theory comes about because you actually have an idea about something. You actually believe in something. You believe in something so much to the point where you're speaking about it. When you really don't believe it, you really don't speak about it. And I understand that a lot of people don't believe this until they get remedy. And then they get remedy and they don't understand how they got remedy to where they can consistently get it. And it's because all they were trying to do that whole time was get it, not realizing how easy it really is to get it. Can you keep it? It depends on if you've been taking everything for granted, those 39 videos, or if you've really been present and in tune with them. People often find out later that they just wasn't there with it. Just like how you told me that over time you see it in a different manner, in a different way. Same thing. It's the information. I say it over and over and over. And I say over and over and over again to people that I don't have no magic potion. I don't have no secret sauce to give y'all. I open my mouth and I communicate with a person who I'm a part of business with. I talk to them and I speak to them every month about what I receive that I truly, genuinely know and believe belongs to them. Why don't people believe me? Because they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe that they're valuable. They don't believe that they are the reason. They don't believe that they have the power and ability to say what they want and get it. It's the person, it's you. Nobody can stop you, nobody can read your mind. Nobody can get in your way really but you. And if somebody is in your way, you have reason to move them out, just as long as it's reasonable, not causing no harm. If anybody is getting in the way of who you truly are, and that's what you truly believe, then you need to speak up about that. If not, you will be and will become whatever that person wants you to be or whatever that person calls you and tells you you are. You're going to do it or be that exactly because you have nothing to say about it. You don't believe anything else. What's your thoughts on how you feel right now?
So when I do articulate how I feel, is it that
It
I'm
may not
not
have any meaning.
convincing?
It
Okay.
may not have any
I
meaning.
say, am I not convincing enough, or because
I like
I
convincing because we do step into that seller position. You got to think about a fucking salesman. What would they do? Persuade the fuck out of you. And what do you have? The burden to persuade another who try you. You got that. You can never, ever, ever forget that. Ever. Only thing that person is trying you on is the facts. If you don't know the facts, how in the world can you bargain them in an agreement? How? How? Because it's found in your language. It's found in the words and the phrases and the things that you expressed and the phrases that is inferred in circumstances that you're in when it comes to your performance, you're dealing and trading. Each and every person. How can you be a part of something when you don't understand the subject of it? It's like not getting the title before you start reading a book. And most of the times, with the way people trick people with titles, you don't understand the book. You look at the title, the book talk about something totally, completely different because of advertisement. And writes that business has to catch your eye and make things catchy, but then have another intent. Each and every person who you're doing business with has an intent. Your intent is different. I talk to a lot of people, they intend different. They want to pay. When in reality, they want to pay. Pay for your contracts. You handle the agreement with a party. It's for you to do. It's for you to determine your rights at that time. Nobody else can do it. So you have to grasp this and understand how it works within for you, how it works within for them in their different intervals, how it works for them externally as they deal with you who may not have no feeling about it within at all, so that you can understand the right behind each and every person action when they do things in a sense and when they really actually taking that action. You got some elaborations for me? How you feeling? What are you thinking? What do you think about this now?
I still have the same mindset about it. Um, but I think it's being reinforced, like the fact that you really need to understand what you're doing so you can do it correctly, because what you're doing is not convincing enough to accomplish
To sell
whatever it
shit
is
back
you
to the seller. You can't even present that to them. You can't even propose the idea to them. So how the hell can you sell it?
right.
You can't
And
even.
I can talk to them about it. I can
You can probably
reference
talk to
this
them
and
about a
that,
lot of
and
stuff.
right. I
But it's
can. I'm
about,
just
it's more
it's
so
just
about what
talking.
they're gonna say back. That's what it's about. What do they have to say about what you got to say, and then how you're gonna respond back? Anybody can initiate a conversation, but what about when I have an opinion about what you got to say? How well will you take that?
Not well. I break down every time. I ain't gonna lie. I get
That's
I break down because it's like, well, no, this is
that's
what
what
I'm
you're getting
saying.
from.
Well, no, that's not it. And then it's kind of going to, well, you're talking in layman's terms, and I'm talking in this contractual terms, or
You
I'm
should just
trying to
talk.
converse.
You should just talk in plain language. If you would like to impose a simple contract on another as an individual, all you have to do is talk in plain language. Plain language. It helps with things that are already inferred from their language. All you have to do is be you, genuinely and authentically you, and use what you have that they don't have. a voice, expression. I can't make nothing else up. And they can't imply it and say it in any other way. I don't know. It could be, I don't know, but people gonna be confused. So that's why I feel like this is the best structure. This is the best way to manage billions of people if they just look at it. They should have probably been teaching us this, but how many people even care about the law? This is a lawyer directory, not a regular person directory, because they want you to feel like you, an individual. Be you, do you. Know about this so that you can demonstrate it throughout your life, but not like actually take the action for it to happen. You don't have to do that hard work. You just have to be the light of information. But words or phrases that's defined in a lot of sections in this American Express and Navy Federal. It don't matter who you're dealing with. Understand their definition so that you can understand the context in which y'all are operating and which they are actually able to operate as well without you, without further notice to you, because that's what you want. You want to give up all your rights. And they want you to be aware of that. So you need to raise awareness of that. So that action, appropriate action, can actually be taken. If not, they are going to give you rights because they care about you. You're helping their business one way or the other. You could be doubling it up, but if not, you're helping them in a way. They're always going to put you on notice of things that they could do. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen. They have the right to accept and decline transactions when it's just not in the proper case. Any transaction when it's not in the proper case. So definitions is important. How well do you feel you read? That plays a part in it too, because it helps to. I, so I'm realizing that people run on. When you're reading a law, it's a different type of read, like very similar to the Bible type of read. It's not one of them run on type of things, or you may feel like a sentence is extremely long, but what they're doing is including persons. They're opening the door for you to have an interpretation. So statements can be created from it or about it, or so that it could be just subject to something, whatever something or that something is, or you believe that something to be. It leaves open the window for creation of new things or things to be renewed. So, how well do you feel like you read? Are you with me?
Hello, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, my bad. I had my phone on mute,
That's
but
fine.
I'm still here talking. But um, like I said, to be honest with you, I'm not necessarily a reader. I'm a listener. I can listen very well. Now, when it comes down to reading, it takes me a little bit longer. I've been getting a lot better at it as I've grown and matured. But growing up uh, in my school years, oh no, I'm not a reader for anything. Don't ask me to read out loud in class. Don't ask me to do none of that. But
If
if
you would have
you
known it was important, you would have been in tune. They weren't triggering us enough.
truly, but at the same time, I was a listener. If you taught me or you expressed something to me and then you put it on this test, I'm gonna remember it because you told me.
So there's
Now,
pros and cons to that. Pros and
well,
cons to that.
a thing that I'm learning is being an active listener or being an attentive reader
That's
because
active listening. When you read, that is active listening because I'm reading what an author is saying and I'm actively reading it. So I'm imagining it. So as this author is speaking to me, I'm actively listening to how they could be sounding, what they possibly sound like, or what it is that they're imagining. I'm actively listening. I'm reading. Do you understand?
I do. I really do.
You can do it. It's a story. It's just a story. If it was already written and if it was already there, It already happened. Somebody's telling you a story. Do you understand?
Right.
So your agreements, your billing statements, there's things that's already happened. And from those things that's already happened, they're telling you and giving you more information about things that could happen or things that may happen just on the lower end, but could be
Okay.
increased.
Okay.
It's just the story. It's just the story. It's just the author. Somebody wrote something already and they telling you about it, and you can live your life that way if you choose. Now, how do you feel about it?
It gives me a different perception on it. Like
Okay.
I said, it was being present and taking things literal and listening to and reading the individual word and gathering its meaning
Yes.
that is trying to be expressed is, like I said, that's where I've been for the last couple of weeks, and it's created a really good reset for me. But like I said, it's just being patient and
Yeah.
not getting too hungry. Like, oh, I've learned something new. Let me go try it. Nah,
Yeah.
finish finish the book. Like, don't
For
finish it.
sure. We've all done it. Trust. Yes, I know too. That's absolutely correct. Like, finish it. I'm telling you, see it through. Because then you never really have to go back. It's just like you said, you're a good listener and you'll remember. You'll remember it. You actively listened. So you read it. You'll remember it. You'll remember something about it. And it's because of you. You read it in your tone. You read it in your voice. You read it at your speed. You read it your way. That's the beauty of records and having things documented. So, scale from 1 to 10.
You said go from 1 to 10.
Yeah, on scale from 1 to 10, reading. What do you think? Where you grade yourself?
Oh, I mean, I can read. Like I
No,
can.
no, read this
I'm
way.
a
Not the reading way. Not that way. Everybody can
okay.
read. Everybody can read.
Okay.
But
Reading
reading
this
this
way.
context, yeah, reading this.
Um.
This is different. This is like Shakespeare. It's different.
Right. Um.
Reading in chronological order. How about that?
I am at best a 4 or 5.
Okay.
I'm very conditioned into my school days reading.
Yes, for
So
sure.
I am really trying to step out and teach myself or recondition myself on reading what it's saying and actually hearing what it's saying. And it's crazy because I was doing that Monday when I was talking to AT&T, and I went back to their bill that they sent me, and I was literally like going through the bill, and they was like, "Well, show me where in the bill that you are talking about this, or where it's saying this." And I was literally saying, "Well, it's saying AT&T said that they will pay my bill right here." So I'm taking this literal. Well, that's not what we mean. Well, that's what you said. You said it right here that you're
But
gonna
they
pay my
did. They
bill.
did pay it. They paid it. They paid it to you. You got it. So they did pay the bill. Now, did they settle the account or deal with the accounts? That's a different story.
Hmm.
It's a different conversation. It's a different subject to topic. Different type of action.
Hmm.
They did do what they promised. You got the bill. You calling about it. That gives them all the rights to just listen and hear what you're saying about it, or got to
And
say
see
about
that's and see that's a total different perspective on paying a bill and settling an account. It's that's a little added tidbit for me because I'm telling them that the bill is already paid. I'm telling them that I have credits that are sitting there. Can you apply my credits? Can you release my credits? Well, sir, where did we credit you? We don't see any credits on this account. We never credited you anything. It's right here. It's positive on my statement that it's credited. If I owed you, it'd be the negative. Well, no,
what?
sir, you're they're like, well, you're thinking differently. If it was credited, then it would be negative. And because it's positive, that's what you owe us.
or what somebody else owe, or if you want to talk about an account, what somebody else is holding.
Hmm. Seeing that's added knowledge that would have been beneficial in that conversation.
A completely different topic, completely different conversation, completely different subject. Completely different, completely different, and it would have allowed the company to see what they could do, or switch that conversation and lead you with questions to get you to say things that will allow for them to do things, like take action
Mhm.
by way of what's expressly provided. Their language is always inferred. They're not going to tell you anything. They're going to talk to you about what you talk to them about. And then they may give you a little more additional information if you ask. If not, they're going to answer you straight up and be ready to get to the next caller. How you feeling? What you thinking? You see how words matter?
They do. They do. And having knowledge on how to utilize those words or use those words and when to use them.
Hmm.
Because, like you said, settling an account, that took me to a whole nother place. I've heard that term before. I've used those words before, but
Even
knowing how
clearance,
in
even
mhm,
clearance. If they you asking for clearance of an account, then clearly it's some sort of provision or policy for clearance. Let them see. Let them see what's for sale on clearance or on the clearance rack.
mhm,
They may be able to see a potential point of sale then. Ever been to the store and they had a clearance rack where everything was cheap and discounted?
yeah,
It's a real thing in all businesses, not just that type of business. Clearance is a real thing. Accounts is a real thing. Settlement is a real thing. It's not just pertaining to one thing. They also have clearance rules as well. That's what Article 8 is about.
mm. See, I hadn't even made it that far yet.
So I can help give you a couple of, pointers and tips as we reading this. But you did want to dive deeper into these definitions, and you need to. And I hope you create ideas of things that you could do, they could do, and then compare it to the agreement where they're talking about what they could do or would do. If so, action in the sense of a judicial proceeding, you always acting in a sense, always acting in a sense, and it's never in a sense where it's judicial. That's a legal realm. We're reading lawful text. You understand?
Right.
So the judicial proceedings, like going to court, what are the judicial proceedings you could think about? Ticket,
Arbitration.
police, arbitration, yeah, all of that type of stuff. That's the action that will happen, just not action that you'll take. Your action is in a sense to that. That means you don't actually do it, but what you do will cause for judicial proceedings to happen. That's the action boldly that they would take when it comes to parts of your agreement or whatever the document or whatever is subject or whatever y'all talking about. Do you understand? Do you see and understand that? Like, I know people would probably run past it, but this means something first so that you can truly fully grasp this action and think to yourself, am I the one to take this action or will somebody else take this action? So that you don't get too caught up in what could happen and feel like you have to do things with a judge. Nobody has to tell you as an individual how to live your life. God is the ruler of your life, not a no judge. So no judgment zone. Let people be and do things according to their plan without you judging it. You don't pass judgment. Allow for them to pass judgment. That way that they can figure out what to do with the document or the statement or the account that they actually have in their possession. That they can bargain according to their language that was inferred to you. How do you feel? Do you see the time we took to critically think about that?
Right,
before just
just that
reading it.
first phrase. Right, just that little piece right there, and that's big that you say is just in a sense. So, like you said, it's not in actuality. It's just in a
In
sense
reality,
that we would do
not in
it. Like,
reality. In reality,
yes,
yes. In reality, no. Two different systems, two different worlds, two different beliefs. So
right. Okay.
how many times have you read it?
You see how many times I read it?
Yeah. Have you read this? I'm pretty sure. What did you think before?
Uh, well, to be honest with you, I listened to it. I have two Article One recordings from me. So I've listened to it 1,000 times. And I think it took me 500 times in listening to it to actually realize that there was a video along with it. So once I was able to sit down and listen and watch it, it took it to it gave a lot of the words a lot more context. Just like you're going back and you were highlighting meaning and state and different things of that nature, it brought out a lot more context in the words that you were saying. And it wasn't just, oh, she's speaking knowledge. No, she's reading this information right off the screen and she's showing you how to imply it. So like I said, me resetting and going back through Article One has been beneficial. So, but I've read over this or listened to over this many times.
Okay, okay. So now that we know that there is action that can happen in a judicial proceeding, and there is action that happen, and in a sense it may be judicial, in a sense it may not. We got that out of the way. The action can be judicial or, in a sense, judicial. We agree.
Agree.
So we can take it out. You see this comma,
Mm-hmm.
and you see that comma. What's in
Yeah.
between? You can take it out. Now that we understand. Now that we understand that action can go both ways, let's see in ways or in what ways it's beneficial to those who we deal with, like those who are under law of certain states. Action includes recoupment, counterclaim, set off, suit and equity, and any other proceeding in which rights are determined. Now, action when it comes to recoupment, action when it comes to counterclaim, set off, suits, and equity, that's going to happen. Someone's going to take action on that. But then when you don't take action in a judicial proceeding that will cause for set offs and suits and equity and things like that, you take action in the sense where it's not so judicial. So that means you act in any other way in which you just determine rights. Not you determine how much you got to pay. You don't be the judge of that. You don't be the judge of the amount that got to be open. You don't be the judge of the fees and the interest. You don't have to do that. You have to just to determine the right so that they can proceed with any other action that they possibly can, like suits and equity, setting off accounts, counterclaims when it comes to accounts, and recoupment of other accounts. That's action that they'll take, that the UCC allows for them to take. So you infer and imply these things in your language, not talk like you're actually going to follow these articles. They are. So you take what's meaningful to you. Rights immediately should be meaningful to you out of everything here. Your rights when it comes to action. No matter which type of action it is, whether it's judicial or not, you have a right to determine which way it should go. This is why you do have people taking legal action. But what's most important is just the rights. For as long as the rights is involved, different actions can take place. Do you see how I read the definition to truly understand what action means in commerce? So now I know that there's different actions that can take place for as long as rights are involved, and not just a right, but rights. For as long as rights are determined, I can drum up the words and phrases to say for another who can judge this document in commerce and trade because they're a party. I'm an individual. So I
Well, the
do.
way I take action is determining my rights.
Yeah, you can. It's selfish just to say my rights because they have rights too. All those acts as in agreements, they talk about our rights, our responsibility. It's not just a
Hmm.
one-way street, but if you want to just stick with you being an individual, yeah, determine your rights. And if you know your rights, it'll complement their rights perfectly fine so that they can take the action that they need. They'll begin to realize some things and recognize some things. So much so to the point from the information and the rights that you have now that you're involved to where they become aggrieved in a situation because of what could have happened that didn't. They're going to take action against the party. You're not a party. They're either going to take action against you or another. It should always be a party to the agreement, never you. Just a party who actually is entitled to pursue a remedy. Remedy isn't yours. Remedy is for those who experience some sort of damage in their actions. You didn't take action to begin with. They drum up whatever it is you connected to, the bill, the agreement, they did that. So it's another party who can, they can take action with. They just have to agree with another party that they can actually do that. And in order for that to happen, rights have to be determined in the case so that appropriate cases can happen with an appropriate person or party to the agreement. You're not a party to the agreement. Your name isn't on this agreement anywhere. So rights have to be determined when it comes to referencing it, no matter what's happening for you. It's about circumstances and situations. They're not mentioning your situation here, just their circumstance. Do you understand how you feel?
I'm good. Just backtracking. Um, so I'm not even a part of the contract.
At all? Where are you a
Just
part of it at?
well, just because my name is on the title of it.
I mean, that's cool, but that's because you signed the agreement that you're not a part of. So of course they're gonna include your name. You was there. You performed on it. So your name is there for that. Outside of that, you have no business there. They're just able to use your name and act like you so that they can take action, so that they can experience some sort of entitlement.
Okay. And helping to determine our rights because it's better than me focusing on my rights.
Yeah, or even, just theirs. Just knowing yours helps add to them. So when they speak to you, they hear what you have the right to do because you believe it. You're speaking like it. And when you speak to me, you speaking facts.
And that'll inform them that they could be an aggrieved party or they could uh, pursue some type of remedy based on
Another
these rights that
another
we're
agreement that they have the right to act up under, just like they acted under the agreement that allowed for you to be involved. They have another agreement. And they will be aggrieved if you do not come in and intervene to see to it that they also follow those agreement terms as well, so that contracts are formed consistently.
is this the other agreement? What's the other agreement?
This is what Article 4 and 4A come in. They have an electronic agreement. On the back of all your bills, they say they want to electronically withdraw. In order to do that, don't you believe they have an agreement with the bank to do that type of action? Do you believe that?
Can you repeat that? I kind of lost you what you were saying.
If on the back of your bill, they have a
Uh-huh.
provision there for you where they speak about getting permissions for electronic withdrawals, do that
Uh-huh.
warrant to you that they have some sort of relationship with the bank?
Yeah.
That means that they have an agreement with that bank, right?
Okay. Yeah.
With that bank, they have an electronic withdrawal agreement for electronic transactions. That's another
Okay.
agreement that they may not participate in if you don't come in to let them know that they can use the bank to process the agreement or the contract or the payment. They do that with the bank. So they have a bank agreement along with agreements with you and any other person who have rights to form an agreement. You're 18 years or older. You have rights to form an agreement. They have an agreement with you and they have an agreement with banks. You need to make sure they follow the agreements with banks because that bank has a separate branch, another bank. So there's more than one agreement. You have that, but there's so many other agreements to see that If at any time someone realized that, hey, I'm just supposed to be forming contracts for this person, it can be inferred. It can be expressed by the language. So they put all of their language on here to tell you exactly how they have other agreements with other persons to do other things besides making payment against you. Article 4 and 4A speak about those agreements as we begin to go down more and more and more. But there's
Okay, because
other
won't they
agreements.
tell me? Won't they tell me? Well, you're not privy to those agreements or to
Because you're not,
those.
they are. They
So
are.
how can I? So how can I speak on them if I'm not privy to
Because
them?
you know about it because they gave it
Because
to
they
you
mention
in
them
the
to me.
agreement. Yes,
Right.
and now
Okay.
you can speak about it. Talk about
Okay. Because they can't be
it.
talking about any kind of electronic transfer from a bank of mine because I've never provided them any
Never.
electronic banking information. So you
Not
have to
outside
be
of that
referencing something
treasury
else.
number. And that's a whole
Right.
different type of agreement. Each and every time you transact with another person, y'all are making an agreement. It's found in your language and it's inferred by the circumstance and the situation that you're in when it comes to you performing, when it comes to them dealing with it and trading it. Each and everything you say yes to, they say yes to, it's an agreement. And it's helping to form the contract. This is why agreement and contract is different. And that's why they said that here. Don't get them mixed up. It's two different things. What's your thoughts? I'm gonna let you have the floor. What you think? Because there's other agreements. You have to know that. Like each and every month, you get an agreement for February, March,
so,
April, May, June, July, August.
so to be honest with you, I was trying to fight going and pulling this contract, but not the contract, but the agreement, my monthly statement, because I know that they have
I know they do too.
electronic transfer. So, and I mentioned it to him. I mentioned it to him when I talked to him on Monday,
Mhm.
and just knowing how to mention it to him could have changed that entire conversation because I mentioned and I brought this up. Well, what about the electronic check transfer or conversion? I think that's how they word it, electronic check
You did,
conversion.
and you brought it up, but you didn't speak any facts about it. You were curious.
Mm-hmm.
It's about facts. So if you know that they got this electronic agreement, what are the facts surrounding it so that you can bargain the facts and they can take action on the facts? So that's the only thing that they're going to take action on. It must be found in the facts. Anything else is just a basic assumption. For a fact, what does my machine do? For a fact, why is it put in place? For a fact, where is it? For a fact, why? If you ain't presenting no facts to me, then you could just be saying anything or just
Mm-hmm.
talking about your opinion when it's all about actual output and actual input. You give actual output when they gave just, output about a situation. You give what's actually it. It's facts. And then they'll do it. Other than that, they're doing what's implied.
Right.
Than that,
So,
they're doing what they could do.
so for me, it's really learning those facts. It's really learning. Like I said, I feel like I'm on the right path, and I'm reading better, so I'm able to pick up um, some of the gems that are there for me. I just really need to learn how to use them.
And it's about reading it, thinking about it, talking about it, looking at the people, seeing what they can do, and expressing it. That's it. One thing you can do is give your words and phrase because that's what it requires. If you want the context of anything you get to be anything otherwise, it requires for you to speak up and talk about it. In fact, that's it. I get the struggle with communication, but it's because the information is new. Now, how many people
Mhm.
have come here and read the word action like me and you just read the word action? If we was to go around and tell people to read that and tell them what they thought, do you think they would have gave you two different forms of action that was possible? Let alone actions behind the actions like you did by reading number one. It
Mhm.
would have been left to be determined by somebody who has the knowledge like me. And whatever I say gonna go because you don't have no feeling about none of this. Or your rights behind action or to action or nothing. So whatever I say will be. You see how that go?
Yeah.
Gotta read it. Aggrieved party means a few things. So that means someone can state the meaning behind what aggrieved party is. Do you understand?
Mhm.
If they do that, it's going to come down to their interpretation of what the aggrieved party is or who an aggrieved party may be and any rules that surrounding that party. A party. You understand?
Mhm.
So they didn't say the party. They said a party. So that it leaves it open for whoever a party may be who is entitled to pursue a remedy. Leaving the door open for anyone just about to be an aggrieved party if they feel that way or if certain rights determine that they actually are. The facts will do it. That's the only thing that can determine it. That's why you can't argue with facts. This is why we don't go through judicial proceedings. We do things in a sense where we actually dealing with facts and there's no argument whatsoever. What it should be one and call and done. That's all I've ever experienced. Besides one time I had to make two calls because I said something that changed the whole dynamic of the conversation. It's because of me. What's your thoughts? How you feel?
Um, okay, because you keep giving me all this new information, I'm trying to stay present and and
I
not
mean, we're talking about commerce and trade.
replay
So
everything.
all the information I'm giving you is pertaining to commerce and trade. So hey, what the screen show is show, where the mind go. Long as it's in commerce and trade, we in the realm.
Yeah, yeah, but it's replaying the conversations that I've had
Mhm.
and understanding. Okay, well, this is where I went wrong there. And I'm trying to jump back so I can stay present
But
because you're giving these gems.
it's beauty in those experiences though, because you do get a chance to go back. But when you go back, right, I do want you to focus on you when you go back, and then go back again and focus on them. Truly listen to what they are saying so that you can see what they are implying and referring to. And then when you go to it, it'll bring a whole new context to what they were really saying to you. It gives meaning behind it. You begin to see what they really mean. So having a knowledge and hearing me, for me, having a knowledge and hear them say certain things to me, I know where they're going. I know where we're leading to. I pretty much know what to follow with next because of what they said to me, because of the concern or the curiosity that they piqued for me and what I said. It allows me to lead and then for them to counterclaim and keep having claims after without me for suits of equity, set offs, and just other proceedings where rights of theirs are determined. That's in a judicial proceeding. So I feel you. I know how you feel. It's so weird, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I can't even lie. Like, is I'm not a really emotional